Yo, what's going on YouTube world? It's your boy Monte back again, and you know I got some fire content for you. All right. Now, before we get into this, I want to give a shout out, man. Something really inspiring happened to me the other day, and I told this gentleman that I was gonna speak on it because it did motivate me to keep going. All right. I was in the gym the other day, and a brother by the name of Cedric came up and he was like, "Hey man, are you Monte?" He was like, "Man, I watched your Hot Shot is for Suckers video, and I really appreciate the content." All right, that really did something for me because a lot of other content creators know that you don't always, especially when you're going against the grain like me and trying to give you guys some real value, not just some entertainment. You know what I mean? So shout out to Cedric, bruh. You really motivated me to keep going. And shout out to Entree Mike, man. He's the one who referred him to watch the video. I show love to other YouTubers too. It ain't no hate over here. All right. So with that being said, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, because we about to get into it. All right. So now the topic of today is two-factor or not two-factor. That is the question. All right. I'm getting my poet on today. All right. I see this all the time, and I'm coming to put an end to this myth because we got to keep it real, man. If we ain't doing nothing else, we got to keep it real. We got to help those that are coming behind us to have real information so they can make an informed decision. All right. So I hear this all the time. So first off, before I get into this, for any of you newbies, let me explain what factoring is. All right. When you're in the business world and you have clients, especially if these clients are other businesses such as shippers, manufacturers, whatever, right? They don't always pay their bills as soon as you finish your service. Okay, so they may have what they call net terms. So net 7, net 30, net 60, etc., etc. Okay, so the average business, especially a new startup business, cannot wait until weeks or months in the future to be paid for work that was already accomplished. Okay, so what happened is the factoring companies came in and they buy companies' invoices. Okay, they buy your invoice in hopes that whoever you did the work for will pay them in the future. Of course, they don't do this for free. They do this for a percentage, okay? Now, every factoring company is a little different, but in trucking, they're all somewhat similar, all right? So let's get into that, all right? So now, trucking is a very, very expensive business to enter. And I don't know about y'all, but when I got into this business, there wasn't a whole big bag of money. I didn't have relatives that could front me hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this going and float us until we could get to a point to where we could sustain ourselves. Now, I see a lot of guys out here saying, "Hey, man, factoring is only for broke people. If you factor, you're going to go out of business." Man, look, cut that out, bro. Your situation may be different. Maybe you had $500,000 to start out with and you can float all your costs. But I'm here to tell you, most people that are starting this business, they don't got it like that. There's no need to pretend. And honestly, I think guys who say stuff like that is to discourage the new guys from getting into business. Okay, because let's keep it real. You cash out on your truck. You made your down payment on your insurance. You have all the other miscellaneous things, your plates, all the other compliance requirements just to get on the road. And then you mean to tell me you want to wait 60 plus days to receive your payments for these loads? What if you're running 4 or 5 different loads a week? Now, if you're a one-person operation, who's going to be doing the back office to making sure that you can track down these payments from these different brokers or shippers? Because that's a full-time job in itself. So do you have the funds available to go ahead and hire an account receivables department? I highly doubt that. Okay, so we're talking business here. This is not personal. This is not emotion driven. This is straight black and white numbers based, right? So let's get even deeper into it. So now you're starting off, your fuel bill's $1,000+ a week. Okay, now you're dealing with shippers or brokers who won't pay you until net 30, net 60. So now let's say you're doing 5 loads a week, 5, 10, 15, 20. That's 20 loads that you ran in a month, okay? Just for simple numbers sake. So let's say all of your shippers or brokers only want to pay net 30. So that means you're going to be 20 loads in the hole before you start getting paid. Do you know how much money you would have just racked up? You yourself as the company owner hasn't got paid. You paid all of your diesel costs out of pocket. Okay. So how many of you right now in your mind know that you can afford that? Okay. Now that's hoping you didn't have any breakdowns, no tire blowouts, no anything that you couldn't plan for. And let's be honest, this is trucking. So the stuff that you can't plan for happens all the time. And guess when it likes to happen the most? When you can least afford it. If you're already in the game, let these people know that this is all facts, okay? I challenge, this is not one of those situations where I turn the comments off. I welcome all challengers. Come out here if you have a differing opinion. And if you have a story that goes along with what I'm saying, please let these guys know. It's important for them to hear it from other people, not just me. Okay, so look, factoring is valuable. I don't care what they tell you. It's very simple to break down. If you're not hauling cheap freight, for you to pay that 1 to 3% that you're paying a factoring company is literally nothing, because the headache that it alleviates from you by having to chase down these shippers and brokers for your payment is literally priceless. Okay. Now, if you've ever done this before, you'll know what I mean, because if you ran 20 loads in that month, do you know how hard it is to keep track with each one of these companies to make sure that they're going to pay out on time while you're still delivering your loads, while you're still maintaining compliance? Because you guys love to do it all by yourself. Oh, I'm going to keep all the money in my pocket. That's going to drive you broke. Okay, that's not a successful business model to be able to scale. You're going to need some help in this business. Okay, so now you have different factoring companies. All right, you got your non-recourse and you got your recourse companies. Okay, and I hear there are going to be people out there who are going to try to tell you horror stories about their factoring situations, but they always like to leave out a very important part. When you get with a factoring company, okay, so now recourse companies are companies that say, hey, look, if something happens down the line and one of your customers don't pay out, we're coming to charge you back for that money. And then you have non-recourse companies that'll say, hey, look, if we approve whoever your customer is, if they don't pay, then the factoring company is left to deal with that. Okay, so obviously you want to get into a non-recourse situation off top. I mean, that's just common sense. But even in a non-recourse factoring company, you can still run into a bind. And this is the part that these guys don't tell you. They'll say, oh man, my factoring company didn't pay out. But then you ask them one simple question. Did you do a credit check with your factoring company before you ran this load? Well, I forgot. Well, that's the problem. If you didn't go, these factoring companies have a credit check for your customers, meaning your broker or your shipper. If your factoring company approves this company and they're a non-recourse factoring company, you have just covered your own ass. Okay, it's really just that simple. But if you skip the credit check process and then now they don't want to pay your factoring company and now your factoring company comes down on you, that's your fault. You cannot blame the factoring company for that. Okay, so once again, keep in mind what I'm telling you. Are you prepared to add another hat that you have to wear in your company in the accounts receivable department to track down all of these different companies to make sure your payments are on time? I'm telling you, if you have not done that before, that is a full-time job, family. All right. You're going to have so many people that are going to tell you bad stories, but they never like to tell the whole story. I see it all the time in the insurance world, too. They'll say something, oh, this company quoted me a super high premium, but what they won't tell you is they got a DUI on their record and they got multiple suspended driver license. They don't tell you that part. They'll just like to give you a sob story and say, hey, this company tried to rip me off. But they don't always give you the full picture. So don't take what people tell you as full face value. Even me, go research everything that I'm telling you. I can guarantee you that if you talk to 10 different owner ops about their factoring experience, you'll get 10 different answers. Okay, but that doesn't mean what's best for your individual situation. Okay, now as far as what I advise in a factoring company, obviously you want to get the lowest percentage possible. Okay, you want to be able to get a shorter term contract if you can avoid a contract at all, which is not always possible because these factoring companies want to know who they're going into business with. All right. And there are a lot of smaller factoring companies to where you can always get somebody on the phone versus if you deal with somebody that's a lot bigger, you may just be one number out of thousands. You get what I'm saying? So that's just with any business relationship. Okay. But the bottom line for this video is factoring is very important for a startup trucking company. And no, trucking companies are not the only companies that use factoring companies. I'm so tired of hearing people say that. This is a part of business. This isn't just a trucking thing. This is a business thing. A lot of guys in trucking don't know business. That's why they go out here and spew out this nonsense. It's because they're not really businessmen or women. They're just truckers. Nothing against that. I got much respect for the guys in trucking. Obviously, I'm in trucking, but I see this more often than not that guys don't really understand business. That's why they have the point of view that they do. Me personally, I have no problem paying a factoring company their percentage to get my money right away. I couldn't wait 30, 60 days to get these payments. Your driver still got to get paid. Fuel bill has to get made. You have to do these repairs. Hey, look, I'm not about to finance all of this on credit when I can get the hard-earned money for the loads that we've already delivered. As I told you, you guys love to say y'all not hauling cheap freight, right? Well, if you ain't hauling cheap freight, it should be no problem for you to pay that factoring cost without it cutting off of your overhead. When you do the math, that little 1 to 3% that you're paying your factoring company is less than what you would have paid an employee to track down your accounts receivable every day. Okay, because like I said, we just did small numbers, just doing 4 or 5 loads a week. What if you guys are doing some local work and you're doing more loads than that? You are literally setting yourself up for a nightmare. Okay, so all of this factoring is for broke people, and if you factor, you're messing up the bit. That is all nonsense. All right, factoring is a very valuable part, and as a broker, I can tell you 90% of these trucking companies use factoring. All of these small mom and pop companies, which are the majority of the trucking industry, they use factoring. They can go tell that stuff to somebody else. I saw it firsthand. Okay, factoring is important, and that's just what we're going to stand on. We're not going to go and break down all of the other ins and outs and all of these different companies. I'm not here to bash these factoring companies. I have a relationship with a factoring company that I use that I can trust. So for any of you guys, if you need help with your factoring, come down below. Even on my insurance, for my insurance form, you can fill that out and I'll get in contact with you if you need factoring help. As I said, it's very important. So like always, family, do your own due diligence. Don't take what anybody says for full face value, not even me. I'm just giving you my own experience that I can stand on, okay? But you may have a bankroll that you're sitting on and you may not need factoring, okay? So maybe you have somebody who's already been in HR and knows accounts receivable and all that stuff on your team. Hey, well, that's your situation, but that's not everybody's situation. You know what I mean? So once again, family, coming from your guy Monte, the raw truth about trucking. Like, subscribe. Hey, I even got, for you guys out there looking to know how to start your authority the right way, I got a $20 guide that we're selling. Very affordable. All the information is already put together in a concise layout with some insurance tips. Okay. Yes, you can go find this information for free. I'm not knocking that. But if you want it already ready made to go, you can click that down below and make that purchase. And as always, family, I appreciate y'all's support. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.